Yep. Boom. There you go. I love it.
Okay. I am Kyle Sullivan. I am the director of a short film called Garden of the Gods. We're here with Mr. Josh Peters, who is our producer, producer extraordinaire.
Hello, everyone.
So, well, before we talk about the film, why don't you tell me what you do generally? Like how you got pulled into this business, how long you've been kind of working in it, and, what kind of hats you wear working in production.
Yeah. So I tell everybody this kind of story whenever they ask me what all I do. And the short version is I'm really not supposed to be here. I never went to law school. I never went to film school. I never did any of the scrambles or sidewalks or film festivals or anything. I was a poor kid in a community theater that just happened to become good friends with a local actor who moved up here. And he moved up here for his job and got into the Birmingham indie world. And he kept calling me and saying, you have to get in, you have to get in. And so finally I said, all right, if I never try, he's called me so much that it's going to bug me for the rest of my life if I could have ever done anything. So I move up here. I move into a studio. I don't even have a place to, like an apartment or a house or anything like that. And I start as a grip. I just get on a film set and just do what I do. And I slowly have kind of worked up to where I've just about played in every department on a film set. And the most recent development for me is to move into more of a producer role versus a hands-on role like an AD or a grip or a gaffer or anything like that. And so I just like making films. I like the overall strategy of making films. So for me, it's all about the schedule. It's all about the paperwork. I want to make sure everybody knows what they're doing. And then I kind of step back and let them do their job. And so it's been very rewarding. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Producing is your favorite role on set. I mean, if you had to pick a department to be stuck in the rest of your career, would it be as a producer?
Oh yeah. There was a long time where I thought I was going to be an actor. There was a time after that where I thought I was just going to be perfectly happy living as a grip, and that was actually a fun little time period. You just show up, you work the mechanics, and then you go home. You don't have to think about any of the high table stuff. Being in the first AD world was a lot of fun as well, but the stress was just so much. Whereas I feel like with producing, if you get the right team around you, producing is a piece of cake. You just got to make sure you don't drop the ball on your end. Yeah. And this feature or this short that we're working on here is a really good testament to that. You just get the right crew and everything else falls into place. And so just as long as everyone keeps their eyes on their individual prize, it works out very well.
Yeah. Every job on set is easy if the team is good, if the team is strong. And that's yes. The trick of it, especially grips.
Except for catering.
Oh, well, yeah.
Catering. Yeah. They always have a horrible time no matter what, because no matter what, someone's always mad about the food. And so
why did you put avocados on my Cheerios? What's wrong with you?
Exactly. So for anyone who's watching this, who's worked in either catering or craft services, we love you. You are the ones that really keep the film set going. If it's not for caffeine, then the snacks. And so you really are the unsung heroes.
Yeah, forget a paycheck. I just need a sandwich to keep going. So the first project you got involved with when you moved up here, was that scary? Was that really enjoyable? Obviously, you kept going, but looking back, was it the right kind of thing to get involved in? Was it way over your head, or was it a terrible production?
It scared the living daylights out of me. And so it scared me so much. And there were so many things that were not planned for, not prepared for, not even thought about. I hadn't even heard them talked about at the table discussions about the projects. It was just such a, forgive the term, almost like a dumpster fire. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And it was so bad that I was just like, okay, well, as long as it's never that bad again, everything's going to be solid. And knock on wood, every single project after that's been fantastic. And so it was one of those baptism by fire type things where it's well, if you can make it through this, you can make it through anything else. And so that was my first little shindig, my friend.
Yeah, it takes a couple of bad ones for you to figure out what's going on. You do learn from people on good ones. But when everyone's in a good mood, everything's running really well, you don't often see all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. It's only when you see it break, you're like, that's why that position's important. That's why you write a schedule down, you know? So let's talk about Garden of the Gods. It's not just a place in Colorado. It's a short film now. We're in the middle of the editing. What were your thoughts about the project, about the story, about the scope of the short film before we got started? When we're talking pre-production, like, what was your impression of how things were going to go? What were you looking forward to?
I thought it was very ambitious. There were just certain aspects where I just didn't know quite how the visual was going to play. But kind of going back to what we were talking about before, it's all about the crew. One of the very first things that got set up in pre-production for this were certain names for certain crew members. And so we already knew a certain way that it was going to play. And it was like every single one of those people in those niche departments always came with an amazing idea or amazing twist or an amazing way of how to achieve what you and Katie kind of wanted to achieve. And so I was very optimistic from the onset that this was going to be a great project. As pre-production kind of started, of course, there's always the bumps in the road. We're always kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. But realistically in this project, every time something came up, within a day or two, we had an answer. I mean, there really wasn't any prolonged stress when it came to the actual principal photography of the film. And so I thought the script was great. I thought some of the ideas as far as how you were going to be lighting and some of the concepts you were thinking about splitting the screen and then using the text. For those who have watched the film, I'm sure you will be like, oh, okay, I see what they're talking about. But I mean, I just thought it was ambitious. I thought you guys were very talented, and
shucks,
everything came out right, my friend.
It did. It came out. It was a very, very smooth production. We never went over. We often came under.
Oh yeah.
Even when we hit bumps in the road, everyone was, calm, collect. I mean, like, usually people start yelling at each other on a set if something breaks. Someone starts pointing fingers or something like that. But this one, like, there was enough experience floating around. I was like, no, that's not how you solve this problem. It was wonderful.
I kind of noticed on film sets over my experience, if you will, one of two kind of things happen whenever yelling starts. Either A, everyone's so mad that they're yelling, or B, everyone knows each other so well that they feel like they can get away with yelling. And on this set, I felt like the crew, we all knew each other, but yet we were all uber professional. And so even when the crap hit the fan, per se, everyone still was able to kind of keep their cool hat on and just kind of continue rocking. And so a lot of fun.
There's some room for love yelling. That's not how you operate a C-stand. You see that? He loves me.
Exactly.
So what, I guess once we started shooting, what was, do you have a favorite shoot day and why?
The party. Absolutely. I mean, the wall day was a lot of fun, and oh my gosh, the shots that you guys were able to really get when y'all got down in there, I loved it. But the party was just great. I mean, just all the different extras, seeing all the different kind of costumes, makeups, personality types. Some of them listened well to direction, some of them did not. I mean, it was always, it was like that classic Forrest Gump moment where the box of chocolates, you just never knew what you were going to get. Whenever you talked with any of the extras, you just never knew what you were going to get. And so I had a lot of fun that day.
Was there a particular challenge to that day? What was the scariest part of the party scene?
Scariest part of the party scene was, so coming from producer mindset and knowing what it felt like for me as a director to even have a fraction of the extras that you had, there was a little bit of, just optimistic concern, if you will, of wanting to make sure that you as the director and even all of the other people on the production team or even on the camera department, everyone had what they needed, because with that many people, it can get overwhelming super, super fast. All it takes is one person to misunderstand. And now you've got different cliques of people who are like, wait a minute, is it A or is it B? And it doesn't matter how many times we tell them. If everyone doesn't understand it at the exact same time, you're going to have this just wasted time of trying to convince everybody that no, what we said is exactly what we want. But they listened. For the most part, I don't think we had really any major problems whatsoever out of them. They were so eager and so excited to be there, just like everyone else. And so it was just the sheer number of people that kind of had me on edge and worried that night. But just like with everything else, this group, this team executed very, very well.
Yeah, the extras were fantastic. We got really lucky with that, and
oh my goodness,
they looked great on screen, and they followed instructions, they ad-libbed in the right way, and I don't know, man, it's pretty nice. It's nice to have that. It's the kind of like moment that will spoil you because you know,
I have been on many of productions with fraction of the amount of people that you had that were just complete and total clusters. I mean, it was just horrible. And this group, for the most part, like they were troopers. It was freezing cold, and some of them were out there in not warm clothing, and we're trying to warm them up, and they're like, "No, I want to stay in. Like this is the outfit that I want to have on camera. So this is what I'm wearing." I remember everyone huddled around the different fires and the different heaters. And then as soon as we sat back on set, everyone, I mean, sure that they were a little slow just because the coldness and the stiffness, but no one was really kind of moaning or complaining about coming back out onto set and playing for as long as we wanted.
No, real troopers.
And it was great. Yeah. It was absolutely wonderful. There were paid actors that I've worked with in the past that did not have the attitude that these extras had, that were out there for free, freezing cold in the middle of the night. It was just amazing.
It was so cold. It was so cold. Of course we shot in February, but we wanted the look with the trees off the leaves and all that. We wanted that particular look, but it was cold. I regret the coldness. So talk to me about the 2 days we spent in the basement. What was your biggest worry there?
So the biggest worry for me in the basement was wanting to make sure that the aesthetic, that the vision that you and Katie had when you were writing it, when you were, all of the work in pre-production, all of the different talks with Bill and the camera department, I wanted to make sure that all of that kind of came together. And when you had kind of mentioned a statement earlier about it kind of spoiling you, this project has really kind of spoiled me when it came to producing, because all I had to do was to just make sure everybody was in the right place at the right time and facilitate I remember a couple of times I was running coffee because I didn't have anything to do. And so all of the concern or worry that I even had as to how you were going to achieve certain looks, as soon as it got in there with the lights and the camera and the atmosphere and everything's there, I'm like, you got it. I mean, it's beautiful. And some of the shots Bill was able to do with that camera, I'm like, dude, this is golden. And so the biggest heartbreak for me was for the individuals who had to go through the labor of carrying all of those cinder blocks down that hill and then carrying them all the way back up that hill. And that was, I can imagine maybe there was a couple statements made on that day, but I wasn't around for that. It was just wonderful.
It wasn't that bad. They're not that heavy. It puts you in shape. Now, Bill really knocked it out of the park as far as the visuals for that tiny room, and the fact that we built an entire wall,
yes,
all the way to the ceiling from the floor, with a little space in the side. Like Steven, the guy who did this, like he was so eager and was 110% into it, and it was exciting for him. It was exciting for us to see him work. Like, was it Marley was in between shots playing with the mortar and the bricks, like trying to just get a feel for it. And Steven was teaching him stuff. And I don't know, man, it was a stressful couple of days, but it didn't feel like it. It just, like you described it.
No.
It's usually like summer camp when it goes well. And that's exactly what it felt like.
I mean, when you have all the pieces in place and people really enjoy working with each other, I mean, it's one of those things of even the worst day on set is better than the best day on your day job. But when you have that camaraderie, you have that atmosphere, you have that we're a team. There's no egos, there's no divas. I mean, I think the most diva thing we got asked for was honey peanut butter. I'm trying to think of what it was,
no,
but
you're
that
right.
was it. Like that was the most complicated ask that we got asked for the entire set from anyone that worked on it. And that was I can literally go and pick that up in 5 minutes. It was wonderful. And so but anyways, back to the wall downstairs. Of the thing that I kind of also think that none of us really thought about fully until we got into that space was exactly how much noise we were going to make downstairs in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
And the homeowner, super wonderful. Oh my goodness. She was just as much a trooper as anyone else. She was just like, yeah, y'all stay as long as you want. And I remember us being like, oh yeah, but we got to be quiet, but yeah, we can't also sacrifice what's going on in the film. And I just remember us always being like, we just want to make sure you know how loud it's going to get. And she was always just like, just do your thing. Just do your thing. And I was just like, that is amazing.
Yeah, she was pretty great. I felt guilty starting out with the actual building and stuff like that in the middle of the night. But it was the moment when the characters were yelling at each other in the basement. And I was in the room, my hairs go straight up. And I can't imagine what people upstairs are hearing. I was just like, oh boy, they're regretting it now. They shouldn't have let a bunch of filmmakers in their house now. You know? Film crews.
It's that classic thing. If you've never been on a film set, or you've never hosted a film set, or you've never done anything like that, you really don't fully know what to expect. And we have me and Bernadette Chapman have had a chance to work together on a couple projects with homeowners who just did not quite fully know what to expect. And when they got it, they reacted a lot differently than what this homeowner reacted. And so if we could have this same type of personality on 50% of the homeowner experiences we have in the future, it's amazing. And so,
yeah. And my philosophy behind that is to just, tell them the worst that's going to happen, like, be upfront about that and communicate often about that. Like, don't just say, can we use your house? They say yes. And then don't talk to them until you show up. Like, talk to them about, keep them up to date. And the same thing with the extras. I think the extras were prepped because we kept a regular line of communication with them. We sent them updates. We told them when things changed. And I think that really impressed on them the seriousness of how serious we were taking it. And we were taking it pretty seriously.
There you go.
So, but the homeowner, man, she's great. And I don't think we've been able to do half the things we did with this little short if it wasn't for her basement and that hospitality.
Yeah.
So, this is a success story. As far as productions go. And usually they slide sideways, especially on short films, especially in the independent area. We talked about the basement and the party scene. Both party scene was very technically challenging. The basement, we're heaving blocks up and down. But the first day of shooting was pretty standard fare. A bunch of car scenes and one-on-ones. It was cold, but what kind of concerns did you have at that moment? And was there anything from that day that you hold on to as being, interesting? Or
I just knew. I mean, I just knew that we were going to have problems with those car scenes. I knew that traffic. I mean, I just felt it in my bones. It was the first day of filming. We're in these neighborhoods. We're going to be calling game off, game on, like in Wayne's World all the time. And to my utter shock, it was so run of the mill. It was so business as usual. We were in and out early. I want to say we hit early on every single one, even with a relatively late start, only because it was the first day. First days are always later on the start than any other day. And even with that, we still broke for lunch, I think either right on time, if not sooner, and then we wrapped early. And so I thought that some of the different ways that Bill and Steve and Mongo had the lighting and some of the different tricks that they were doing with the party light I can't wait until the viewers of this get to actually see it, and then they'll be like, "Oh, that must be the party light." But there was just things that they did that just made it so easy. And even with my concern, every time I saw headlights on the horizon, they would just turn right before us or pull into a driveway 50 yards away from where we were filming. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I mean, it's like it's like the greatest run of luck at Vegas. It's just over and over and over again. You're just hitting the jackpot because they're either turning down a side street or turning into a neighbor's house.
Yeah.
And so it worked out so much better than I thought it was gonna.
Yeah, it was nice, man. It was a good first day. It was I guess an easy day to start with those particular scenes that didn't have a lot of extras. It didn't have cinder blocks. So that was a good day to start late on and to finish early on and to get the muscles going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get everyone gelling together for those who hadn't shook hands and met each other. But for the most part, I want to say almost everyone knew of each other before coming in. They just might not have had a chance to work with each other. And so it was a good kind of a, hi, my name is, and let's get to know each other day. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, the shots were amazing. The actors hit their marks, hit their lines, everything flowed so smooth. And, just coming from my, I don't like to view myself as a pessimist. I like to view myself as a realist, but there are just certain times where it doesn't matter how many times I get told from either a director or a DP or an AD or anything. They just kind of tell me this is how it's going to flow. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, it's not going to flow anywhere near that. I'm very happy that they're optimistic, and I'm very happy that they're thinking it's going to flow like that, but it's not gonna. And I just knew, again, just in my bones, I knew we were going to be stopping every 5 minutes for cars. Yeah. And I think maybe the whole night we stopped, I think maybe twice, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is unreal.
If we planned it as such, so that I think that we were expecting a lot more traffic, and that's why we ended up finishing early and it going as smooth. I mean, like that was our outlook on the planning, was like, it's gonna go wrong. So how do we already be on the opposite side of wrong? And things went right anyway. It was like, you can get used to this. Yeah. So. Do you have any final thoughts on the film, on the experience, on working the industry that you want to partake to the folks listening?
So if the folks listening are someone who has either always kind of wanted to do this or thought about if they could ever do this, I say you got to at least try it once. When you try it once, even for my first time, how horrible it was. You either get bit or you don't. It either bites you and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to function unless I get on another one of these film sets in a couple of months. Or you're going to be like, okay, I'm really glad I gave that a shot because I'm never doing that again. But the big thing is when you can find a group that is supportive and help you along the way, you're going to have a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, you're going to look at some of these projects and be like, I cannot believe that I was a part of making something that good. I can't wait to see this edit because just by the snippets I've seen already, I'm going, this is just unreal. My name is going to be as a producer on something like this. This is just unreal. I can't get over how well it's turned out. Now, for every one of those, for people who have been in this industry long enough, for every one of those, you've got 5 or 6 where you're like, I thought it was going to turn out so much better than this. And so you're looking at it from a different perspective. But at the end of the day, this was a great production. A lot of us have been on some bad ones before, and we all said at the end of it, we needed this. We needed this kind of fun camaraderie. And I think, again, the proof is in the pudding. And so...
yeah. Can't wait to get this
there you go.
this team back for a feature film.
Oh my goodness.
Wouldn't that be great?
Any day, anytime. Oh, you call me.
All
I'm quitting the day job immediately.
All right.
Any day, anytime.
Well, sir,
I love it.
Thank you very much for taking the time. I know this was convoluted in the age of coronavirus, but
hey man,
thank you.
I have had I've had a wonderful time on this whole project. I hope you remember me when you are rich and famous, my friend, because you are going places. You and Katie both are a dynamic duo, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
You're getting a call every time. Don't worry about that.
Well, my friend, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll be talking again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, and holler if you need anything.
All right, buddy.
All right. See you, guy.